You know what's so sad about it? He was kind of great once.
Arthur. I'm Arthur J. Newman. Hey, I'm Arthur Newman. I'm Arthur Newman. Hey there, it's Arthur Newman.
Arthur, what's your story?
I'm a golf pro.
You're no Tiger Woods.
Finally, they made a movie out of the Mad Magazine guy. I'm so happy. What?
I think Newman spelled differently that way.
Yeah.
Arthur E.
Oh, no, it's Alfred.
Alfred E. Newman.
Yeah,
Alfred E. Newman.
Maybe this is his brother.
Yeah. You need to stop getting crack confused with
exactly.
Mad Magazine.
Wait, is there a Arthur Newman in Cracked?
No, there's a Sylvester P. Smythe.
Oh, yeah. I love how our review starts with an analysis of, like,
You know what?
satire magazine.
You can always tell how a movie is, how we feel about a movie, if we're talking about everything else but the movie.
But the movie, exactly. Yeah.
Y'all don't really want to hear us talk about this movie, do you?
I honestly wish we could talk about something else. Did you hear that new Star Wars news? Mark Hamill's talking about up a storm about that. Yeah.
Well, what else does he have going?
Now, co-host, you got lucky because you got sent a screener, so you got to sit in the comfort of your own home and watch this.
Goodness.
Whereas,
because it let me to do other things besides watch this movie sometimes.
Yeah, you can pause it. I gotta do something.
Yeah. I think there's a shit that needs to be taken at some point.
I think I got to pull worms out of my dog's ass.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. It wasn't,
All right, it wasn't that bad.
it's not getting carried away.
You know, it's funny because I was saying, like, Cyrus and I had to get up out of our house and go to a movie theater that was actually pretty dark and air conditioned with really comfy seats.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places to see movies in town.
True.
So I was like, not complaining about the
So with that setting, it's like, oh, this is all right. And then you watch the movie, it's like, wow, I got dressed for this.
What kind of party is this?
Well, that happens to us more often than not because we try to see everything. We do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I remember one time Coast and I getting up early to see a movie that was like some sort of experimental dance thing. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And then we just didn't even bother to review it. We're like, Coast's like, well, you can review it if you want. Like, quite frankly, we have no fucking clue what we would say.
There's dancing. I don't know what else you want. Yeah.
Well, speaking of experimental, now, this movie, it goes out on a limb, kinda, because it's one of those rare independent movies that's about two quirky characters who somehow come together
Despite
and
their
form a bond.
differences.
Despite their differences, and form a bond. Oh, wait, that's 90% of the independent movies that are out there already.
I'm not saying there aren't. There are obviously ladies out there that find Colin Firth sexy. Obviously, I don't get it.
I don't get it, but hey, it happens.
I mean, he's really like he's the guy you cast as old Data, maybe. Like
Old Data.
Wow. All right.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I see where there's something of an attractiveness to him, but it's not like it's rugged. It's not like it's cute. It's not like it's fuzzy. Or
it's like for a woman who
actually, you know what? And now I just say all that. I don't get it.
It's a woman who had a very stern father.
But you know what? If you were to cast this guy in something else, watching this movie for some reason, I kept thinking if they ever decided to make a movie and try to separate the show from the actual movie, I could see this guy play Walter White for some reason. And I think maybe it's because there's some things about this character that hit me, kind of like this guy is going through sort of a situation like Walter White is,
Sure.
but for none of the good reasons that Walter White had.
Yes, it's not dramatic enough. There's not enough to push him to do what he's doing, and he doesn't really do that much with it.
Well,
and he's almost like a Hugh Grant who doesn't stutter as much and isn't quite as handsome.
Well, unless it's the King's Speech. Still not as handsome. Oh, Hugh Grant, you're so dreamy. But the idea here is Colin Firth plays Arthur Newman, the titular character, at least for part of the film, who has decided to fake his own death.
Yes.
And leave he doesn't really have a family anymore. His wife, who very little we've seen of other than she seems to be a ball-busting bitch, lives with his two sons. And his younger son wants absolutely nothing to do with him, much to his chagrin, and attempts to connect with him. And he just says, fuck it, and decides to leave behind his girlfriend, who is unnecessarily played by Anne Heche.
Yeah. And honestly, you know what? It's one of those things where it probably would be more dramatic, him faking his death to leave his girlfriend. But his girlfriend is Anne Heche, so you kind of understand without him even having to explain it. It's yeah, dude, I get it.
Well, we're putting the actual Anne Heche in our heads in that role, and you're like going, Dude, any excuse is fine.
Sorry, Anne Heche.
She said, now, great. Now, thanks to us, she's back on the meds. But so he decides that, he fakes his death seemingly successfully and changes his name, buys a new identity, and hits the road to go out and go to this dream job that, it's honestly, the details are not important, but what it ends up being is that he was a failed golfer at one point who was supposed to be one of the greats, but he choked, and he wants to be a golf pro.
Well, that's almost a spoiler what you just gave.
Who gives a shit?
I know. But it's more important that, hey, he met a rich guy who he helped him with his golf swing. That guy's like, man, you were so awesome. You know what? You need to come out to my country club. I'll make you a member. I'll hire you just to make my golf game better.
Yeah. This is his salvation.
Yes.
While he's going through his midlife crisis.
His midlife crisis. He's like, hey, this guy has a job for me. I'm just going to pack up everything, leave it behind,
no
and
one
go.
will know. They'll all think I'm dead. They'll remember me as a good man instead of the boring ass man I was.
Yes.
Because that's what happens. Everybody gets a rosy glow after they die. But he's barely 5 seconds on the road when he runs into Emily Blunt as Mike. Mike is short for her.
Michaela.
Yeah, Michaela. Mm-hmm. And she is the, definitive indie film crazy chick.
She's a suicide girl.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that wasn't Katy Perry? Wait.
She is another one of those.
I was like, finally, a directorial debut. The acting debut of Katy Perry.
Well, now,
Thank God.
now, according to IMDb, it's Emily Blunt, which means it's more than likely Zoe Deschanel.
Yes, IMDb has been known to be wrong before in the past. Yes.
Don't be like that. Don't be like that. They're both fine actresses who make occasional bad decisions. Emily Blunt, like I said, she's like the little goth girl. She's got the ripped up, like a stocking. She's like really sexy despite being a mess. She's one of those girls you go, oh my God, this girl is a wreck. Wow, stay away from her. Wait, she wants to sleep with me? Fuck. All right, I'll sneak out in the morning.
Well, she's a prostitute too, by the way. I don't know if you mentioned that.
So he feels sorry for her. She's at rock bottom, and he tries to fix her up, to clean her up. And they end up in a situation where she, through her, crazy indie girl personality, is like, I'm going on the road with you. Wherever you're going, we're going together. And this unlikely duo, I wouldn't go so far as to say falls in love. I don't know what happens. They fall into something. They fall into,
they have
love,
a relationship that does involve sex, despite the fact that there's really no chemistry between.
Well, and both of them
actors.
are their relationship is based on them both trying to leave their own existence.
Right.
And not trying to be who they are. Going so far as to break into people's houses that they've seen, on the road and watched and then go, okay, now we'll pretend to be them and then
yes, we'll go in the
only
house,
have
dress up
sex
as them.
in those
It seems like the whole point of the movie, just being somebody who you honestly aren't, just so you don't have to deal with your own shit, every ounce of problems that you created on your own, right, along with screwing up everyone else's life, because it's funny how you get to interact with these people that are, part of Arthur's life, and you realize they're just as miserable, if not equally as miserable as this guy, because it seems like this guy, honestly, at least from what I got from the movie, it's like he was kind of worthless to begin with. Like, especially this whole relationship with him and his son, where his son starts to go into him as far as like him being a dad to him. And he's like, yeah, this guy was never there. I don't understand why he talks so fondly of me when I'm not in the picture, yet when I was around, he didn't care at all. And that was kind of one of the problems I had with this movie and trying to, sympathize with this character, where the movie's really trying, I guess, to get me to do that. I just couldn't, because I was like, man, there's nothing indicating to me that this guy, that he was anywhere close to a decent father or just a decent guy. It just seems like he just easily gave up and said, you know what? Fuck everybody. I'm going to fake my death and just go play golf.
Now, I came to the same conclusion, but for different reasons. Cause I didn't, it's almost like the movie was trying to tell me, like, have all the characters say like, oh, this guy was terrible. He was boring and he was a shitty father. And when I go like, well, why? Cause he played golf. okay, is it really that's all you got? You're trying to convince me that you guys being shitty to him is justified because he played golf and he didn't talk that much? I don't really understand.
The problem lies in between what you guys are saying, which is that we just don't know what it was. They barely approach the real issue. There's teases of the thing like, oh yeah, well he was all into golf, so that's why he wasn't there. There's teases of like, no, he was just deadbeat and didn't want to be there. But the worst thing is that every time, the only concrete proof we really see is that the ex-wife is a ball-busting bitch.
Yeah.
And you're like, I hate to say it, but I think part of the biggest problem is that the wife has been putting shit in this son's ear.
Well, that's the thing. When the son's all like, he's a shitty father, but you like, the few times you see him, it's like, he's around, he's lurking, he's wanting to make that contact, but he doesn't quite know how to do it. And they're putting him down at every chance they get. So it's like, all right, well, I can see why it's not so easy for him.
I might want to get out too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, you go on the road and there's that point once they're actually on the road and once he meets Emily Blunt that I'm like, okay, this is not hitting anything new, but I am interested.
Sure.
I want to see where this is going, especially with the breaking into people's houses and doing this thing.
And the idea that she might get naked at some point.
Well, yeah. And she is in like a pretty sexy underwear for large portions of the film, so no complaints there.
Oh yeah,
she's a beautiful woman.
No, she is gorgeous. I'd love to see a movie with her and Katy Perry playing sisters and having the same scenario of dressing in.
Scissor sisters.
I'm glad that you said that.
Well, that's the first time you've ever said that. And the thing is, it feels like it's building towards revelations that are going to be like shocking or interesting or going to change the whole current of the film is going to change. Like everything you see is not what you think you're seeing.
Right.
It sets up that that's where it's going. But the film literally reaches that point in the third act where it looks at what's happened so far, it looks at the audience and just goes, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It really does. It drops the ball completely. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what was the point of me sitting through here trying to watch this on my computer? It's like, come on, man. It's like, if she's not going to get naked, then why do I care? I don't care about this. I don't care about these people. I don't care about the situation because, after a while, I mean, you see like a montage of them sneaking in other people's houses, pretending to be the people who they encounter, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to have some kind of cool relevance, but no, it's just people fucking around. No, they're just having a good time with nothing else to do.
They're fucking around, and you understand why they're doing it.
Yeah, it's not subtle.
Yes,
not at all.
Metaphor there,
but it doesn't lead to anything.
No,
it leads to absolutely fucking nothing.
I mean, the revelations that happen at the end of the film. First off, Emily Blunt doesn't really have one. She's just kind of like, well, okay, I guess I'll do this thing.
Yeah,
because she said so. And Colin Firth is just sort of like, well, if we're not really actually going to make this build anywhere, I guess we'll just come full circle because that's what you do, I guess.
Yeah, because how else can we end this, you guys? What do you think?
And then as an audience member, you sit there going, so what was the point of this exercise? Yeah. What did we learn? What did he learn, really? Yeah. Except that maybe abandoning everything and hitting the road and trying to fake your own death is not necessarily a good idea, which is not a message that most people need to be told.
Not at all.
Oh man, there's just too many people out there faking their own death. We got to make a movie to speak to those people.
Yeah, because that's what you're kind of looking for. You're wondering, okay, I know this is kind of a stupid plan, but usually there's consequences to these types of actions. Maybe that's going to be the interesting part. Maybe they're going to go into the wrong person's house and discover a murder or something. Something please happen, and I'm like, wow, out of all the avenues to take to actually get these people to learn exactly who they are, why they're having these problems to begin with, just some kind of a revelation for the audience to sympathize for these people. You don't get any of it.
There never is that sympathy, especially with Emily Blunt's character. When she reveals the why she's acting this way, it's kind of like that's it. you use that as an excuse to do all this bullshit that you're doing.
There's not enough background with her either. It's like just skimmed over to the point where I don't feel like I really know enough about her to sympathize with this excuse they've given us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And wow, what a little cheap plot mechanic.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's just one of those straight out of a soap opera where I was just like, okay, that's got to be a lie. And it's like, Oh, you were serious about that? Oh man.
I wish there was more good to say about this, because there is that point in the second act where I go, okay, I'm actually starting to get into this. I feel like this is going somewhere interesting.
Here you go. Here it comes.
Here it goes. All right, finally.
She's getting naked. Oh, it's about time. No.
It's just like, that's the only mechanic I'm looking for.
No mechanics working that day. Yeah.
It was wrenching.
Well, yeah, at that point, it is sort of building to something, and it has that big, twist or drop where you go like, uh-oh. But from there, nothing plays off that.
Yeah.
It's just like you think that's going to be the turning point of the film, and that's where they go, ta-da! You're like, guys, that's not the ta-da. That's setting up the ta-da. You don't have oh my God.
Well, just wait for Arthur Newman 2. It's going to be so many unanswered questions.
They're going to bring Russell Brand in for that one. And actually Katy Perry.
Right?
Oh, finally.
It's the movie.
See how I did that? I brought it all the way
I know.
back
I like
around.
how you did that full circle. Yeah, you did more with that little idea that you had than this whole movie. Yeah.
You said the words Katy Perry.
Yes.
It was like full price. That's all I'm saying.
So, Cyrus, what do you give it, man?
It makes me irritated, this film, with two great actors like this, who, well, once again, should never have been on the same movie in a romantic thing. There's so zero chemistry between them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just flatlined as far as like anything between them at all. But it felt like there should have been, if you had them there and there was a clever plot or a noir twist or something for the audience, you would have gone, okay, at least it makes sense now what's happening. But there's no sense to be made out of this. This is a workshop of a film, really. And I'm going to give it a low rental.
Yeah, if you want chemistry, mix vinegar and baking soda, because you ain't getting it from this movie. And to me, this is like indie movie 101, a remedial class from like back when they first started making, indie, I don't know if you even want to call it comedies, but just little indie dramas that I used to watch like 30 years ago, when something like this would have been like, oh, that was kind of cool because it's not Hollywood. And now it's
all
just
about
like,
the characters.
Yeah. And now it's all like, well, it's not even that much character there. It's just derivative and doesn't do jack shit. And only for like just the small moments where I thought something might happen. I'm right there with you. Like, I don't know. There's something keeping me from saying some old bullshit, but man, it's just a thread. Just the barest whisper that's making me say low rental.
Yeah, this movie needed a time machine or something, something, do a little something different with this trite crap that we've seen a billion times, and we've seen it done better every time. I mean, and you guys are right about the chemistry. There's something wrong when I see Colin Firth start to make his way towards Emily Blunt around her face, and it just makes me go, ugh.
Right.
It's like, I don't know if I want to see that. But yeah, there was nothing about this movie that made me care about any of these characters, and and that's kind of the fault of the film itself, because I think that's what the movie was trying to work itself towards, and it just failed miserably. So man, it's one of those things too. I was like, oh God, I gave Peoples a damn rental. So, as much as I want to give this some bullshit, I was like, well, the acting was good. They were still, half of the beginning, they did a pretty good job acting wise, but, oh man, you know what? I'm going to give it a rental because I didn't absolutely hate it. It did catch me in the beginning, but it slowly started to lose me towards the end.
It's funny. It's one of those films that you like less after the whole thing is over than you did as it was going on, when you look back and see all the stuff that makes no sense. Like the whole Anne Heche subplot as his girlfriend, who ends up having this weird sort of and completely pointless, like not really a friendship, just a connection with his son, who's looking for some, after he thinks he's dead, connection to her. And it insinuates that maybe there might be something sexual getting started.
You're going like, is this going to turn inappropriate? I mean, it's like, I don't want this, but this movie needs something.
It really did.
And it just goes like, no, we're not doing that.
What does that have to do with anything? Is it just like somebody felt guilty because like, well, it's not PC anymore to have like a much older guy with a much younger girl, so we should balance it out with this and have this much older girl with a 13-year-old.
Well, it's almost like, oh, geez, you guys, you flew Anne Heche all the way out here and put her up for 2 days, and we only wrote one scene.
That's the only reason she agreed to do it, because she was like, I might get to fuck a young kid.
Yeah, I honestly thought that kid was going to get revenge on his dad. It's like, I'm going to show you, Dad. I'm going to fuck your girlfriend. How do you like that? And I'm only 13.
As gross as that is, it would have been a leg up for this film.
Oh, yeah.
At least
Anything.
something
It would have been something you remember it for.
I was dying for a leg up at some point in this movie.
You really think you're the only person with someone else's ID?
What's the big deal, Wallace?
What did you call me? You know what it's like, don't you? Lose what you thought you didn't want. Spend the rest of your life wanting it back.
Both want the same thing.